What's the stupidest way you've injured yourself? Once, I banged my arm on a table. It was so deep I had to go to the ER and get stitches. Only made that mistake once. I now have a permanent scar because table. Did the same while doing the dishes once. I was cleaning a kitchen knife, which were very dull because I lived in a student house, but I managed to overshoot the brush during my vigorous scrubbing, slamming the knife into my knuckle. Decided to go to the hospital because I could see my metacarpal bone when I was playing with the loose skin flap. The nurse was very impressed. Damn, you could see your bone? I didn't even look at the wound that much because it was gross. Trying to clean the facial hair out of my razor, I sliced one of my fingertips slightly open. Less than a second later, and irritated with blood dripping onto the sink, I quickly attempted to clean the rest of the razor exactly the same way with my next finger, resulting in another slight slicing. In my defense, it was very early in the morning and I wasn't yet a coffee drinker at that point in my life. When I first learned to shave, I put a piece of TP over the blades and vigorously wiped back and forth. Slightly open isn't how I described the cuts on my thumb. Oh no. I'm wincing just picturing it. Greater than slightly open isn't how I described the cuts on my thumb. https://www.youtube.com/watch. V equals T4Q_8X9C and T equals 9S. Running back to the controller after going to the restroom and realizing the game wasn't paused. Rolled my ankle pretty bad. Went up for a rebound, no one around me, came down untouched, sprained my ankle. Long story short, I jumped, cut myself on frozen food. I'm almost impressed. Does it seal the deal if I admit it was a frozen crumpet? I was cutting a wire tie off a couch a month ago and stabbed myself in the wrist with a steak knife. Got a tetanus shot after that one. I swear the TT shot hurts more than the injury itself. It's actually a DTaP shot now. You get a diphtheria and whooping cough vaccine for free because it's logistically simpler, since most is given to young kids who need all three. Not me, but a friend of mine is the champion of hurting yourself in stupid ways. Broke his finger trying to pick up a stationary basketball, broke his toe walking down a flight of stairs, got a concussion playing dodgeball, had to take a couple days off school because he drank something really spicy. He was paid $20 to drink it. His parents found out, took away the $20, and then made him write a book report on a book with a title that was basically How Not to Screw Up Your Life. A few months ago I was squatting at the gym and somehow managed to crack a rib in the process. For the life of me I'm not sure how I managed that. Bit too much stress at slightly the wrong angle, or maybe you'd smacked it on something else and weakened it earlier without realizing it. Ribs are surprisingly easy to fracture. I've told this story before, but here's once more. I was sleeping one afternoon, and all my weight had fallen on my arm. As a result, my arm fell asleep too and got dead numb. The phone started ringing and the sound somehow blended in my dream, causing me to dream about a fire alarm going off. I got panicked in my sleep, and that panic continued when I realized that the ringing wasn't just in my dream, it was happening for real. So I popped up, sleepy and confused, and started running towards the source of the noise. Comically enough, my arm was so numb that it was beyond my control and was flailing randomly by my side, crashing onto nearby walls and furniture as I was running towards the sound. It was like running with a jelly-like arm. Think what happened to Harry Potter in HP and the Chamber of Secrets when Lockhart deboned his arm accidentally. Anyway, I don't know which of the billion crashes and bumps was the one that did the job, but that's how I dislocated my pinky. It was a good hit and my finger stood at a really weird angle afterwards, so I had to go to the doctor to put it back in its place. Hurt like a bitch too. When I was young, I could jump off the roof and shrug it off. Now if I sleep funny, I wake up paralyzed. Getting old sucks. I dislocated my kneecap on a dance floor. I was taping something up in my bedroom with duct tape. I don't remember what it was. I was using a steak knife. To cut the tape, but I was having a hard time with it because 2 hands plus roll of tape plus strips of tape plus knife equals. So I did what any sane person would do. I jammed the knife into the side of a cardboard box, blade pointing outward, so I could easily cut the tape. I did this, while telling myself this is stupid but I'll be careful and move the knife before I cut myself. The microwave with my precious little pizza rolls had beeped, and I went to get them. Goddammit wath fuck waste hat on my shoulder. JPG I walked past the knife and had caught my shoulder on it, resulting in me needing a number of stitches over 10. Ran full speed into a pole balls first. It wasn't easy explaining it to my mom. Whose pole was it and why was your mom watching? I put my finger in a fan to realize if the fan was spinning fast enough. __. I was maybe 10 and pulling weeds with a thing that looked like a forked screwdriver. Basically you'd shove it in the root and pull up. One especially pesky weed wouldn't let go, so I pulled upwards with all my little might. It let go and I stabbed myself in the face right beside my eyeball. Luckily it just missed by I had a decent gash. Jerked it too hard. I refused to elaborate. Did you snap it like a fucking glow sticks, or did you go so fast and so often that it started to bleed? I fell about 15 feet off a balcony while in university and trying to hit on a girl. Was very drunk and didn't realize how thin the railing was. Got hey. Out and over I go. Got my arm caught in the bars on the way down, messed up my shoulder, and landed on my hands and face. Broke or sprained all of my fingers. Not a good night for this guy. The first few weeks of boot camp I was still learning to shave properly. I turned 18 while I was there and only had a bit of chin fluff. My face wasn't used to daily shaving and I started getting this really itchy dry crusty skin around my chin. We'd also been issued ultra-fine grain sandpaper for polishing the brass parts of our ceremonial uniforms. I had the bright idea to smooth my face out with it one morning, which actually worked really well. Took the dry itchy skin right off. And a few layers underneath, which didn't hurt at the time but stung like hell about 30 minutes later during a dress inspection. And was apparently really visible because the parts I'd polished were swollen, red, and slightly bleeding. The drill staff were, in a way, impressed since no one else had sandpapered their own face before, so I guess I hold some sort of record in that regard. You may be a dumbass, cadet, but at least you're a creative dumbass. Note, I have no idea if cadet is the correct word. So my son wanted me to open his ice cream bar. You know, the good humor ones on the stick. I was standing next to the kitchen table. I dropped the ice cream and when I moved my hands down to catch it I hit the top corner of the chair with my wrist. Broke 2 bones in my wrist and spent weeks in a cast. I caught the ice cream though. Not me but my brother. Him and his friend were playing FIFA and both are very competitive. It got to the 89th minute and the score was 1-1. My brother scored a last minute winner and jumped up to celebrate. He landed awkwardly and ended up snapping his ankle. It's still the only time I've witnessed someone injure themselves whilst playing a computer game. Depends on what you mean by stupidest. If we're looking at an injury resulting from doing something stupid, then there was the time I got a corneal ulcer because I wore contacts at work. We were sandblasting. I knew it was stupid before I did it, but have you ever tried the overglasses safety glasses? They're a pain in the ass, and the bridge of the nose, and behind the ears. I had to sit in a pitch black room for days. Even the light from the TV on the dimmest setting was excruciating, dropping liquid fire into my eye at regular intervals. If we're going for how the fuck did that even happen? Stupid, I once sneezed and, I'm pretty sure, pulled a muscle in my neck. No idea how it happened, but it happened and it hurt like a bitch. I broke my toe by turning around and stubbing it on a wall. Put a knife into a slingshot to shoot my buddy in the ass. Believe it or not, there was no ill will involved. The idea popped into my head and my 14-year-old brain thought, holy shit, that sounds hilarious. Fortunately, the knife slipped and completely opened up the space between my thumb and forefinger. Internal stitches, external stitches and a thing that held my hand in place for a while. I felt dumb, it hurt badly, but at the end of the day I'm so happy I hurt myself instead of doing some serious damage to someone else because I wasn't thinking things through. Man, my hide would have been tanned. I was studying in an awkward position on my stomach for an hour or two, and I strained my lower back to the point where it was extremely uncomfortable unless it was in a certain position. That was fun telling my coach the next day I couldn't do any exercises. I've dropped my phone straight onto my face while texting in bed. The sheer shock you experience at that moment is something else. Speaking from experience. Once me and my boyfriend were fighting on my bed. He turned over and let rip the loudest fart, right on me, causing me to jump back in such shock that I elbowed the corner of my desk with such force I had to go to the accident and emergency for an X-ray. I'm laughing about it now, but it honestly hurt like a fucker. I thought I'd shattered every bone in my arm. I never told anyone that's how the injury happened either, I just told everyone something made me jump. My brother and his then girlfriend / now wife were wrestling on their bed. He went for a DDT and didn't realize how close they were to the headboard. Broke something in her neck / spine. She went to the hospital and got it checked out. She had to wear a brace and take some medicine for a bit, but it healed just fine. I was late for work, rushing around and getting changed. I was pulling my socks on whilst standing up, because I'm a moron and thought that would be faster, lost my balance, hopped a couple of times before falling into the nearest wall. I had to explain this to a doctor and a nurse while they popped my dislocated shoulder back in place. I destroyed my back putting on socks one morning. I couldn't move without spasms for over a week. To be fair, I had done a lot of snow blowing and shoveling in the prior days, but the socks were the last straw for my back, apparently. I was baked and baking and couldn't see the meat thermometer, so I leaned in and grilled my face a bit. I still look a bit like John Marston, fell off my bed and broke my ankle. My girlfriend tripped on a blanket getting out of bed and fell on the legs of a computer chair and broke 3 ribs.